This is Mitch, and welcome to the 1000houses.com podcast. I have Jan Stavisski on the line, and we're going to be talking about some travel hacks and probably a little bit about how we can make money using our credit cards or other things available to us if we have good credit. Right now, I need to pay homage to my sponsor, taxfreefuture.com. Would you please visit taxfreefuture.com if you do not have a tax-deferred or tax-free account in which to grow your finances? You have no idea the size of the tool that you are missing from your tool belt. It is a gigantic advantage. So check it out. There's 37 little video vignettes. My favorite videos are the part where you have a little bit of money to start your account and you grow it into a whole bunch of money using certain strategies. So you can make money, a lot of money, with a very little money. You just have to know the strategies and you have to stay within the rules. So taxfreefuture.com, check it out. All right, Jan, I paid the bills. So now
Mitch, thank you for having me on, man.
It's time for us, man. So you look young. How young are you?
Just turned 26.
Yeah, I hate you guys. Freaking piss me off. 26 years old, man. Already got your collective crap together. I was like 34 before I found my butt with both hands, you know. I was a hard worker. I was an honest guy. I had tried a lot of things and it didn't work out. I paid everybody back even when I failed, but it didn't click for me for a long time. And now I'm seeing, you know, from my vantage point now, looking back, I'm seeing all these young men in their, you know, usually 19 or 20s too early. They're usually coming of age about, you know, the youngest ones that are really setting on fire, coming of age around 25, 26, 27. And it's really refreshing, you know, to see that. I kind of wish I had come along earlier, but hey, you know, we all have a different path to travel, and you know, mine started a little later, but I don't have any real regrets. So, tell us a little bit about your background. The whole 26 years now. I don't want you to leave anything out.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, look, I think the faster you fail big, the faster you're going to make some sort of big changes to actually get to a good position or start figuring shit out, as opposed to just kind of being complacent and having a little bit of money here and there, be comfortable, and then not really make any serious change. So I'm 26 right now. The last 3 years have been absolutely crazy. 2019, I took about 147 flights, 25 or 27 countries that I've traveled to. My business hit over 7 figures in late 2019. And man, life has just absolutely changed in those 3 years. But at 22 and 23, I was a completely different person. I was not living in the mansion that I'm living right now. I was not really traveling. I certainly did not have any business that was certainly not making 7 figures. I didn't even have a business that was making even $10,000. I was in $82,000 worth of credit card debt at the time. 22 and 23. Got 2 degrees, one from Berkeley, one from San Francisco State University, marketing and finance, by the way. And turns out they're completely useless, because when I went to go...
I love that, man. Like, I'm not an advocate for all this bullshit, unless you want to be a doctor or a lawyer. And I shouldn't say this, but hey, there has to be people like us that are advocates for people that aren't college material or didn't have the opportunity, or for whatever reason, they didn't get it. There's still great hope. And not only is there great hope, it might be the best thing that ever happened to you, because not having a degree was the best thing that ever happened to me, because they put a ceiling on my income because I didn't have that piece of paper, and it pissed me off so bad that I had to go on my own. And then I passed everybody that was telling me I couldn't have a raise, or telling me I couldn't work for them, or that I couldn't move up the ladder. They all wish they were me now. So, you know, but that was because I didn't have the degree, or those, what do they call them? Velvet handcuffs, you know, the insurance, the car allowance, the cell phone, and all those little things that keep you from going and conquering the world. You know what I mean? All right.
I knew how useless the thing was. And when I got it in the mail, I actually sent it to my parents. I didn't even want to see the degrees. I just got to send it to my parents, but I just happened to be there when I opened the envelope, and I put it down on the table to use it as a coaster, like for my plates. And my parents got so freaking mad. I'm like, look, this thing is useless. I just wanted to put it to actual use right now.
Yeah, as a coaster. And
Exactly.
that's kind of cool because I guess you just did it for your parents because your parents were pushing you so hard.
Kind of. I was about to drop out the last year, but I ended up going back and saying, "Hey, look, I'll finish up the last year just to say that I finished it and I didn't waste 3 years or whatever." Because at the time, I really didn't have a concrete idea of what I wanted to do.
Yeah. So you
But
study, but those are two good things to study if you're going to study marketing and finance. That was two great, excellent choices. Do you draw on it at all?
I did not use anything from either one whatsoever. Useless, 100%.
Wow.
So
And so, what's your first move? You graduate from college, you get this degree. Um, they mail it to you in the mail. You use it as a coaster for your drink.
yeah.
What next?
So my first move was to go take a trip to go start traveling. I've been traveling here and there, and that's how I got into kind of one of the main topics today is travel hacking. I've been traveling my entire life. One of my first mentors said, if you want to really kind of experience the world, get new experiences, open up your mind, get creative, go travel, go to a different country, a different culture, meet people. And so that's what I did. And I really, really, really enjoyed it. And that's what I was doing during the time that I was in college. Any opportunity I got, I went to go take a trip. And I never had any money, certainly not any money to go travel every single month. So that's how I got into travel hacking. I had to figure out how to get free flights, how to get free hotels, super cheap car rentals. And I did so with credit card points. I started doing that when I was 18 and been doing that religiously since that time. But until I was 22, I had absolutely no money whatsoever, or until I was at 23. So when I finished school, I've been traveling during the time. I thought, hey, look, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've always wanted to start my own business, my own company. And so I want to go and do whatever it takes to go and actually make some income by myself without working for anybody. Because at this point, it's my only option. Because I've applied to 100 different places with my 2 amazing degrees, and not a single person even got back to me.
Wow.
My
So
degrees are from Berkeley and San Francisco State. They're decent schools.
and no one even calls you back.
No one even called me back. I had a stellar freaking, or so I thought, like a resume or whatever you call it.
Did you have good grades?
I had pretty good grades.
No one calls you back.
Like a 3.7 GPA, decent GPA.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, I only have one way to go, and that's the entrepreneurship route. And what I did was I went to YouTube, I went to Instagram, and I found all these people driving Lambos. And I'm like, all right, what do these people do? Some people do Amazon, some people do real estate wholesaling. They do drop shipping on Shopify. They do all these different businesses. And my idea was, hey, I'm going to start all these at once. And I don't have any cash or any capital to start these businesses. So I'm going to use my credit cards. And I have a lot of credit available because I started travel hacking pretty early. I now have, by 23, I probably had about 25, maybe 26 credit cards and about $120,000 in available credit. My credit was on point, everything was good. But at this point, I've only used it for the purpose of travel hacking. So I go and start 5 businesses or startups at once. None of them work, obviously, because my focus is dispersed across 5 different things. Not happening. I got no skills. I got no experience. I've never worked for anyone that has a successful business in any of these areas. And so 6 months later, I'm in $82,000 worth of credit card debt. Paying the banks probably about $4,000 a month in interest. And I'm not paying them. This is just accumulating my debt even higher and higher and higher. I'm just making whatever payments I possibly can. Some stuff is going to collections. I'm getting late payments. Keep in mind, I'm still not making any money. I'm living in San Francisco and barely making payments for food or the guacamole on my burrito, literally. That was literally a big decision for me. Am I going to put guac on my burrito today or am I not? So I'm going to save $2.50. So
That's not a cheap place to live.
it's not, but luckily I kind of house hacked my way into not paying rent in San Francisco. Got a house, re-rented the rooms, and for a more expensive price, obviously. And my rent ended up being about $100-200. So luckily, that part saved me quite a bit living in San Francisco, and something I recommend people do. I mean, I saved a couple $100,000 over the course of 6 years.
Well, you're very creative. It sounds to me like you're single at this point, you know, because if you had a wife and kids, this is not probably as achievable. Not to say that it couldn't be done, but you know what I mean? So you're single at this point, right?
Yeah, no wife. I had a girlfriend at the time.
Hats off to you though, because like, that's what, when I made my decision, it was like, I don't care if I have to sleep. I ended up single, you know, I didn't have anything to lose. And I just decided I was never going backwards again. And I didn't care if I had to sleep on the floor and eat pork and beans every day. I didn't care. I was not going to go backwards anymore. I was going to start being worth more every day than I was yesterday. And you can do that when you're single, and especially when you're single and at the bottom, you don't have anything to lose. So, you know, hats off to you for having that I don't know if you call it vision or drive or both, but anyways, hats off to you for that.
Thanks, man. So
you're living free. You're worrying about $2.50 guacamole or not, and you're $82,000 in credit card debt. Where do you go from here?
That was kind of my rock bottom at the time when I kind of totaled up, sat down, and said, "Hey, look, I got $82,000 worth of debt. I'm paying $4,000, or I'm accumulating $4,000 of interest every month. My credit is going in the gutter. I had a 750 6 months ago. I now have a 490 because I got every possible derogatory mark on my credit. And everything I'm doing, I'm losing money. Like I'm using my credit to go and try to, you know, hire people, run ads. All that stuff is losing money. I'm doing 5 different things. I don't even know which direction I should even go because nothing is working. The only thing that's working is my fitness classes. I've always been into fitness, and so I was doing training like every couple of days. So that was keeping me afloat. But I made a decision that time, and that's what I mentioned in the beginning. You got to get into a really shitty situation to really make some drastic different moves. And that's what I did. Instead of going and applying for 100 different places online to go get a job, I literally just started going to every single event that I possibly could that a company was hosting. And luckily, I ended up at a sales job. And I was always thinking, after listening to some podcast, I think it was Grant Cardone's podcast, and he's like, if you want to run a business, you got to understand sales. You got to know sales. Everything in life is sales. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to trust this. I'm going to go get a sales job. And so that's exactly what I did. Landed up at a sales job, stopped doing all those things that I was trying to do, all those 5 startups. And the other thing I did was learn credit. So now I'm doing just a sales job. I'm spending like 80 hours a week on it, trying to become the best person at that company. And I'm not really doing it for the income. I'm more so doing it for the sales skill and to understand how to run a business. How do I hire a team? How do I get the exposure? How do I become the #1 salesperson? And my clients they weren't like some schmucks that were buying $100 products. These deals were $50,000, $100,000, $150,000. So my clients were people that if I spent time around them would better my environment quite a bit. 3rd month, I ended up at Mike Tyson's house to do some it was like a funding hedge fund thing at the house in Las Vegas. Tiger Cage is still there, and I'm like, man, this is like 3rd month in, this is what's happening. I'm talking to a couple of guys that are worth maybe $250 million. I've never been around those kind of people. And month 3 of killing it at the sales job, and I even got into that position because I became the number 1 salesperson in that company. Month 3.
What are you selling?
Say it again.
What are you selling?
I was selling placements on cryptocurrency exchanges for companies that were going public and wanted to sell their tokens. So this was during the cryptocurrency boom. Everything was on point. Everybody was making money, raising money. So perfect timing for me to kind of get this sales job.
Wow. All right. So how long were you with that company?
I was with that company about a year and a half. I ended up running operations in the US, and I left that company. So a year and a half later, I left that company for two reasons. One, I started making more money, literally just leveraging my credit to fund real estate and e-com deals.
How much were you making at that company when you left?
I was making about 160,000.
Okay. And so explain again why you left.
Started making more money, leveraging credit. And
how did that work?
Say it again.
How did leveraging credit, tell us the numbers? How does that business work?
So that business started because I had some colleagues that were doing real estate flips in the Bay Area. And their problem was the money that they were getting from the banks was too expensive to fund their flips. So how I started, and I saw the opportunity, first I got my credit straight. Okay, first I did credit repair, got my credit straight from a 490 to a 750, 760. And what I learned in the process is you can actually go and get 0% capital from the banks on the business side, and you can get a pretty decent amount of it. You can get 100K, probably up to about 250K at the max at 0% capital, 12 to 15 months. And I saw an opportunity where I can take that cash, take that capital, and fund these real estate deals and give the money, fund these deals at a lower rate than the bank was providing to my colleagues at the sales company. And so I said, hey, look, I'll fund the deal, $50,000, $30,000, and I'm going to take a percentage of, whatever it was, like 13, 15%, whatever it was. And
you made yourself part of the bottom line. You weren't just loaning on the rate, you were loaning on the profit.
Exactly. And I made this deal safer because I was taking collateral for the money. I was like, I'm not going to end up in the same situation I was a couple of years back or a year ago. And so I was taking collateral for these debts. Like I would take a car note, or I would take, mostly cars. That was probably the best and easiest thing to do. And so 6 months in, I'm probably pulling in near $7,000 to $10,000 a month, just scaling that entire business. I actually pulled in some money from friends, taught them to do the same thing. So my capital now kind of increased from being able to use $150,000 to about $300,000. So
it's all about access, right? It's all about access to money. It's not necessarily the cost, because it doesn't matter if it's 18% annual interest on the credit card. If you're going to buy a house for $200,000 and flip it for $400,000 in 6 months, who cares how much interest rate? Who cares? So the old saying in the business is, it's not the cost of the money, it's the availability. If you're making over the top deals, in your case, you're getting 0%. So you were really taking this introductory credit card offer thing to the limit, which is exactly what I did when I bought my first houses. I bought my first 100 houses, my partner and I, on credit cards. We had 45 credit cards each, about 45 credit cards each. And it wasn't unusual for us to be $500,000 in debt, a credit card debt. But we'd have $1 million worth of real estate that was up for sale. You know what I mean? Right now, it was going to, in different phases of closing and everything. It almost cost me a divorce, almost cost him a divorce, because we tried to hide it from our spouses for a long time, but they finally caught on. And it just, the average person to go rack up $250,000, or even in your case, $82,000 in credit card, if you're married, that'll freak your spouse out. Like, they don't understand. And anyways, she was going to divorce me. Really, she's had her bags packed. And I said, you're being irrational. You want to try something on you. Whenever you get married, this is what you don't say to a woman. You're being irrational. And if you want me to prove it to you, I need 60 seconds that you listen to me. So she like looks at her watch, goes, ready, go. I said, I got 250. This is not gambling. but I'll put it in your pretext because you think I'm gambling with your future. So I'm going to put it in your pretext, even though it's not. We're playing a game of poker. We're playing 5-card draw. I've got $250,000 in on a table, and they're going to give me 3 cards, and you're leaving before I get my cards. That's not smart. You can leave me when I lose the 250, but I haven't lost yet. And she said, got back out of the car, put her bags back in the house, and said, okay, you better win. And I won big. I won really big, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you gotta, before you do that though, and accumulate that debt, you just gotta have a good understanding of how everything works.
Well, I knew how much those houses were worth. I bought them. When I paid $50,000 on that credit card for that house, I knew it was worth 120. It wasn't a guess. I had the comps in the neighborhood. I was so nervous. I had visited every one of the comps to compare the inside and the outside to what I had. You know, yeah. I knew. I was not gambling. I was taking a highly calculated risk, which to me wasn't even a very big risk because I had learned enough about that game to know what I was buying, you know, for what price and what it was worth. And this is kind of like the way you operate, right? Although sometimes we can fall in the trap that we think we know what we know and then we don't know some things, right? Have you ever fallen into that trap?
Well, that was the trap that I fell into. That's why that's why I even say that, because, you know, what you did, you made it work. What I did in the beginning, I failed. I learned afterwards, and then I started to make it work.
Do you think you would have been successful right out of the chute with that $120,000 available credit if you would have narrowed it down to the one of those 5 companies and just immersed yourself completely in it? You probably would have made money.
I probably would have.
Yeah.
I probably would have, yeah.
Because you seem like a really quick study, you know what I mean? And even though you might have learned that it's not lucrative enough for you, or they have you capped somewhere, or it's not exactly what they told you, but you would have made money.
I probably would have made money, but I certainly wouldn't be in the position I am today. Because I wouldn't be, you know, I wouldn't have the thought in the back of my mind, hey, if you're not, you know, killing it right now, you're probably going to end up in a very average situation, or you're going to go back into the same situation that you would have been if you failed at those businesses. What I went through was always in the back of my mind. And every single day I'm like, if I'm not hustling and getting better, bettering my skills, hiring a team, expanding my company, getting more exposure, you're going to end up in the same freaking situation.
Yeah. So you said, so your model is kind of like, the sooner you fail big, the sooner you'll make it big.
Yeah.
And that's all predicated on the fact that if you don't curl up in a ball like a baby and start sucking your thumb after you fail big, because some people do that. They fail big one time and then they go in a hole and label themselves a loser, and then they don't ever come out of that hole. You know, so, but I do get it. I think everybody, you know, in most of the stories I hear on this podcast, a large majority of them, there's this moment or this time in the woods where they're lost. Almost every story, you know what I mean? And then they start to learn to fight out of that and figure out where they are, and then they get out of it, and then they're very much stronger now because of the life experience. And that's kind of what you're saying, right? The life experience of failing big will get you to your finish line faster if you don't quit running.
Yeah, because failing is going to happen, and it's better to do it in the beginning. If you're going to curl up in a ball in the beginning, you're going to curl up in a ball later on too.
Well, and the other thing is, you know, if you have the chance and you're single, go do it while you're single. I mean, it's so much easier to fail by yourself than to fail with a wife and 2 kids. You know what I mean? It's so much easier. And I recognized that when I was single, like, now's my time to jump off of cliffs and find out if I can fly. You know what I mean? Not while I'm carrying 3 other people with me.
Oh, 100%. When you don't have any ties or whatever, that's the best time to go and do it. I did it when I was 22 or 23. You know, luckily my situation got so bad, I quickly kind of maneuvered and adapted my way out of it. And now at 26, you know, I think I'm on a way to be really, really set up in life by the age of, you know, 30, if you know, most people consider I am right now, but to me, I've got much bigger goals.
Yeah, well, I hope I have this philosophy. it doesn't go for everybody, but I don't gamble everything every time. Like I keep a certain amount of stuff sacred, you know, and then I take everything above that. When I make some money above that, that's kind of like R&D money. So if I go out and try something and I lose that money, I'm still in this nice place, you know. But some of the big players, I mean, some of the ones we know, you know, the really huge ones, they are gambling everything on the line all the time. I personally don't want to live like that. But and for every one of those guys we know, there's a million of them that died and are buried somewhere, you know, because they didn't make it. So
yeah, we just hear about the ones that did make it. So
yeah, so I prefer to you know, keep a certain amount sacred. If I make a stride, then now I'm a little higher up the mountain. I make another stride, I'm higher up the mountain. But I don't want to put myself in a position to be at the bottom of the mountain starting over at, I'm 60 now, so 60 years old. You know, I don't want to start over anymore. But I do want to grow. If I was, you know, a lot younger, 26, you know, you have some more time to recover. But I still say, personally, don't risk everything on the next deal all the time, unless, you know, do some incremental stuff. That's my opinion. How do you feel about it?
I think, yeah, I agree. Any income, any capital that comes in, you know, in the beginning, I was risking just about everything.
Well, you didn't have anything.
Yeah, I didn't have anything. So right now I'm kind of setting aside a decent portion of something that is not going to be risked, something that is in a long-term investment. I'm more focused on cash flow than anything right now. One big part of my story is after I went and left the job, I started making more money. I got back to traveling. So I mentioned to you in the beginning, I took 150 flights in 2019, and I got back to travel hacking. So my whole philosophy for the years going forward is leverage credit to go make money, so I don't have to go and do that in-person job anymore. And two, go back to traveling, the thing that I wanted to do in the beginning, and use travel hacking to not spend the money on the flights, hotels, and car rentals, and instead put that money back into the business. And that second business that I started, aside from the real estate funding, is an online education business about credit repair, about leveraging credit, personal and business, and travel hacking. And that business started in 2019, got just about 1,000 students right now, and that business has done nearly seven figures now since.
Wow. So so tell us about what your educational program is about. What can they expect, and what does it cost? And by the way, it's what's the date today? August the 5th, 6th of 2020. So the man has the right to change his prices, move them anytime he wants to. But as of today, he'll talk about what it costs, and when they pay that price, Jan, what do they get?
So the program is called the Inner Circle. Everything is not on a website, not on a funnel. Everything is on Instagram, directly on Instagram. Super easily accessible. And Inner Circle is a $1,000 program, lifetime access. And it's not a course where people go and just learn some sort of videos or content. And if they understand it, awesome. If they don't, whatever. It's not the case. I made it so that they actually have access to support. They have access to ask questions and get immediate answers. And the Inner Circle has got three main parts. Okay, it's credit repair, one. So all the walkthroughs, all the methods, primarily that I personally used to get out of the 490 credit score, out of the $82,000 worth of debt, collections, late payments, lawsuits. The second main part is leveraging personal and business credit for businesses like real estate, like e-com. One of them was ATM business. The third part, the fun part, is travel hacking. So how to get the free flights, the free hotels, the super cheap car rentals. And those are really the three main parts of the Inner Circle. Everything is directly on Instagram. And funny enough, this business, I've never done ads for. I've never had a website up until about last week. I've been doing this for just about a year now, nearly 1,000 students. And everything is directly on Instagram, all organic, all just about word of mouth, or if they see my content on Instagram, So just to give you an idea of where this business is at, where are we going? Everything from here is going to be scaled to multiple products. $1,000 right now was last year. It is right now. But with everything that's going to be included with the bi-weekly Zoom call videos, all that stuff, the whole program is going to be scaled, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. So you guys want to learn how to, first of all, fix your credit, then leverage your credit. Maybe you don't need your credit fixed, so you've already skipped step one. But if you need it fixed, learn how to fix it. There's probably a business in credit repair too, if someone's into that. There's a lot of people need their credit fixed. Leverage your personal and business credit, which is just saying people don't have enough money. You have a way to access to money, and you mark your money up, and you basically rent your money out. And then last, learn how to travel hack. So if you're into traveling and these things appeal to you, this is a bonus. And learn how to travel for virtually free. So I want everyone to go to 1000houses.com/Jan. That's YAN. And get over there. And over there, there'll be all the links to anything and everything that you need to know or to get connected up with Jan. And find out if this is for you. The main goal of this podcast, and I started it so I could pick up more one-on-one mentoring students for my real estate investing knowledge that I have, 24 years and over 2,000 houses. But turns out that I'm more interested in just connecting people with whatever it is that sets them free. So I don't care if, this is what it is, or the next podcast is what it is. I'm just trying to help people find their place. Where do you fit? Where is your financial freedom so that you can go be the person that you're supposed to be instead of a slave to some company or some boss? When we become financially independent, we free up about 2,600 hours a year that we get to work on ourselves or do what we want to do. 2,600 hours a year. So that's where I'm trying to get people. So if this sounds interesting to you, go to 1000houses.com/Jan, YAN. Do you have I didn't look, and I should have looked, and I apologize. We have a free giveaway or something you can offer your people to introduce themselves to you?
Look, man, the best thing is just to go to Instagram, and we'll put it in the show notes, but the Instagram name is @KingCredit. And
okay.
They'll learn free value every single day about travel hacking, about credit repair, about leveraging credit. The majority of the stuff that I put out, it's all free. They can they can learn. I don't care if they buy. If they do want to learn the advanced stuff, they can learn the advanced stuff. But I mostly do it for free.
Yeah, I understand. That's me too. I give away a ton of stuff. And then if you're smart enough to figure out you need a coach, then we're there for you. Exactly. How many people need a coach?
Every single person.
I know. It's ridiculous. I just bought a semi truck. We bought 12 acres with a couple of, 6,000 square foot buildings on it, but there's all this extra land and it's on a I-35 highway frontage. It'll park 250 to 275 semi trucks. It's a semi truck parking business where people, they can only drive, they got to take a day off and they got to park this truck somewhere when they take the day off. And a lot of truck drivers live in neighborhoods and they can't park their truck in their driveway, their semi truck. So our idea is to rent out parking spaces for $100 a month, so that people can park their semi when they're not driving it. But even then it sounds simple enough. But this guy comes by and he says, there's a lot you're going to need to learn about this. And he charged me $10,000 to be my consultant for a year on how to, and it's only been the first day and he's already paid for himself because I had it laid out where the place would get 150 trucks. He said, you're too far apart and you've got the wrong angles. Do it like this and you can get 250 trucks in there. Well, that's $100. That's $10,000 a month difference. I paid this guy $10,000 one time and he just opened his mouth for only like 30 minutes so far. And I got him for a year. So just an example, coaching, if you're get the right coach, which you need to do your homework and make sure it's the right coach for you. But coaching should not be cost you money. It should be like you put the money out and then you see it come back plus in a certain amount of time. So, relatively short amount of time, really.
Yeah,
So,
you definitely got the right coach, but that's definitely something people have to kind of do the research on and watch out for, because the incorrect coach, I'll give you an awesome example, is teachers at colleges, not every single one, but just the majority. They're teaching something that they do not actually do. And when I was in my finance courses, I kind of got this idea. I'm like, so do they actually do what they're teaching me, the investing, the real estate? So I'm going to go ask them. So I went and asked every single one of my professors. I'm like, so how long have you been doing this, like, as a business? They're like, oh, I've been doing this for 12 years. I'm like, no, like the actual business. And they go, every single one, oh, I've never done the business. But I know everything
how
about it.
asinine is that? I went to one semester, okay, long enough to go, and then my teacher volunteered that he was filing bankruptcy and that he was having a hard time financially and all this stuff like that. Why the hell am I paying to listen to this man? I mean, I was disgusted. I said, I'm out of here. I'm done. If I'm going to listen to someone, they better be making $1 million a year. And that was 20, 30 years ago. You know what I mean? So today it would be like, they better be making 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or $9 million a year, because why would I pay to listen to someone who's going to stand up there and cry to me that they're in bankruptcy? I mean, I'm not saying you can't learn from anybody who's been through a bankruptcy, but probably not at the level he was filing. You know what I mean? If there's probably people I do listen to that have filed bankruptcy, but they filed bankruptcy over 20 million or something. This guy will be back in a minute. He's just going to catch his breath. He'll be back.
Yeah. If they got a big corporation doing 20, 100 mil and they file bankruptcy, I'll listen to them. I'm not going to listen to the person filing bankruptcy over $13,000.
Yeah. There you go. All right, my friend, it's been really fun to talk to you. Anything you want to say to the listeners before maybe we wrap it up today?
Look, man, a simple formula about the coaches, the mentors. Listen to very few people, and the people that you listen to should be or should have the life that you have, or do whatever that you want to do. Don't just take advice from somebody that's giving you advice and that's not doing whatever you want to be doing. Simple formula. It's going to get people very far.
I say the same thing, but I add one little tag to it. Find someone who's already who's successful at what you want to do. Make sure that the person that you want to be on and off the field, because if they're not a good person or not a good fit off the field, then it's going to bleed over into the business. It'll show up somewhere. Make sure they're a good person on and off the field, and that they're someone you want to be like on and off the field, and that's a good coach. So I appreciate you taking the time. Go to 1000houses.com/Yan, Y-A-N. Check it out. He'll show you how to get to a ton of free information on Instagram over there. I'd like to thank my sponsor, taxfreefuture.com. You won't believe what your financial advisors are not telling you. We're going to tell you what they're not telling you. We're going to tell you why they're not telling you. And then you can make up your own mind. But you're going to be so much wiser after you watch these 37 little video vignettes at taxfreefuture.com. Please check it out. All right, this is Mitch Stephen. I'm here with Yan Stavisski, and he showed up in Los Angeles to talk to us today. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out to get you some Yan Stavisski. And until next time, go out there and start conquering some mountains, brothers and sisters. We'll see you later. Bye now.